Would you welcome, please, the fabulous Miss Lena Horne. Ba-ba-ba-bum-bum. Welcome, welcome. Thank you for coming tonight.
I'm glad to be here.
Yeah.
I see a lot of people I know.
Yeah. You worked with most of the fellas one time or another?
Yeah.
Yeah, you probably worked, I suppose, with all great musicians.
And sung with a lot of them, too.
Yeah.
I mean, I worked with a singer who is a musician named Billy Eckstein.
Right.
One of my favorite people in the world, and I think Snooky will agree with me. The thinking about how long I've been knowing you, really, it isn't a long time. But in sight of my age, I feel like I've known you longer.
Oh, come on now. You talk about that.
I don't know what happens.
You walk out on the stage and you tell people. In fact, you celebrated your 65th birthday a month or so ago.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's...
Well...
Look at
Eckstein, getting back to my man, Eckstein is the only man in show business who admits he's a year older than I. That's the reason I brought this whole thing up.
I didn't know that.
Oh, yes. Everybody that I know now is much younger than I. I wonder
how'd that happen?
I don't know. Some people that I was even in the Cotton Club with have blossomed.
Some years ago they were the same age, and all of a sudden they're younger.
Now they're different.
When you went on Broadway with this show, did you have any idea of the success it was gonna?
I didn't think I'd be on your show.
Oh, come on now. No, really?
No, I had no idea. I thought they just had me about a hot 4 weeks. And it stayed into quite a few years.
Yeah.
Seems like...
Obviously, you still enjoy it because...
I love it.
I've seen you, I saw you twice in New York, and I'm going to see you when you're out here. And every night that you're out on stage, it seems fresh and
I like
new.
it. I thought that I would... not wind up being one of those women who said, oh, my career is all. But after everybody else leaves you and you don't have that many friends, you find that the career is something that instead of negating, you begin to live in it. I love it.
Yeah.
I'd rather have a laugh than anything. I noticed that about you, too.
I was,
John.
yes. And one of these nights, my dream shall come true. If you just think positive.
Yes.
You tell a lot of wonderful stories in your show about your career and so forth, and I think you mentioned about your first trip out to Hollywood. When they called you to make a movie, you had to borrow money to get out here.
From my dad.
Yeah.
My dad was a number banker, and a lot of the young people...
Tell people what a number banker is. They don't know.
Well, playing the numbers in those days was like the Hispanic people play lottery, and like we play the New York State numbers in New York. Black people and very many poor people in those years played numbers. Now, my daddy was the one that had the bank, the loot. God forbid he'd get hit for a big amount. You know, if a whole lot of people played 261 that day, look out. But he stayed pretty well ahead of the game, and since he was the only one I knew that wasn't a boss somewhere.
Right.
That's the one I went to borrow the money.
So you borrowed the money for him to come out on the, if I remember,
Hollywood.
The 20th Century Limited.
That's right. And then what happened was they finally, after they heard me sing at this little truck, they sent for me to come to MGM. And it was a whole day like out of a storybook. You know, I was singing for L.B. Mayer and all the big wigs. And I went home that night and I called my father. I said, Dad, these people out here are crazy. They claim that they would like to put me in the movies. And I said, I think you better come out here and advise me. He flew out the next day and went with me to MGM and went to call on Mr. L.B. Mayer. And I think that's the first time he had ever noticed a sharp, beautiful dude dressed as you do, and very conservative. The only thing that wasn't conservative was a diamond stick pin, but in those days they wore them. And he said to Mr. Mayer, you know, my daughter is crazy. He said, the only people that I've seen in the movies that are her color are jungle people, all in servitude. And he said, I got a lot of money, and I will hire my own daughter's maids and sit her up nicely if that's what she wants. And he said, I wouldn't like her to be demeaned. And I think Mr. Mayor swallowed a frog and just sat there. I mean, that was unheard of.
But they didn't know what to do with you, did they?
No.
They had you sitting in background singing under a palm tree. And tell the wonderful story, the Ava Gardner story.
Well, Ava and I sort of took to each other right away because I know you know her, but everybody else might not. She is Southern. She is basic. She is down. She's laid back. And because she was raised under the same sort of circumstances I was raised, we just naturally went toward each other. She came from North Carolina. She'd lived with black and white people poor all her life. Right. I was sent to live in Georgia when I was 5 with poor people all my life. So she and I got together, see? And because she had a big mouth like mine, we had no no subtlety, no discretion. And before we thought, we spoke, which is what in those years was not always the right thing to do, you see. So she and I lived up in Nichols Canyon, and we both liked to drink once in a while.
Understandable.
So I'd be on layoff frequently, and so would she. So she'd try out all the drinks with us. So never dreamed just she would have to be lip-syncing with my records, see, because I thought I was going to be this hot lady in Showboat. I was going to be Julie. And I was all prepared for it, and I cut the records and everything. And then I found out that I wouldn't be, of course. So Ava had to practice moving her lips with my records that I'd made. And every night she'd come in and we'd get loaded, and she'd say, I'm so sick of hearing you, but I don't know what to do. But this is the way I'm going to have to operate to make this job. And I sort of said, oh, that's all right, my young sister. You know, it'll all work out all right. And we still talk about it. I met her when I went over to Monaco a couple of years back, and she and I had a few drinks, got in the middle of the floor, and dished.
Yeah. Well, didn't they have to do something?
Better than I am. They.
So what they did, rather than use you at that time, they used Ava Gardner, but they wanted to make her look
like me. So well, they had invented a makeup for me to make me look more colored, as I said. That's a little something we used to call each other before we got straight, you know.
Yeah.
And anyway, so they invented this makeup, and for some weird reason, they named it Light Egyptian. I think that's, you know, because I moved like this a lot. And anyway, they took the Light Egyptian and they put it all over her. We sort of looked alike, actually.
We're going to take a break. Stay where you are.